Wow. The Epstein files, eh? I don't know what's crazier, the stuff that's in them or how quietly it seems to be passing in the media. Like, there's a time in my life when accusations of this nature would have just blown up like a bomb. Every media agency would have been talking about it 24/7. It would have been all that people could talk about. But now I think we're just burnt out from being bombarded with one crazy story after another for years. It's almost like I fear that people are going to get really burnt out by this, in the sense that it can be depressing to look at the details of what this means, about how really depraved and intertwined the structure of power is that we live under. Like, it's not just touching the president. We're talking about multiple levels of government intelligence agencies from multiple countries, the banking sector, investors, scientists, media personalities. I mean, it's touching everything. And Epstein's role in it, I guess there's two things that come out of this. Like, one, Epstein was clearly a depraved man involved in some depraved behavior and sharing it with a lot of really powerful people that were obviously involved in this or wanted to be close to the cool club of just sickos. But also how much he was tied into banking, investing, and foreign policy. And that's wild too. And like, this is something, again, when we talk about like the two-party system and the idea that we've been sold this culture of culture war, of like the idea that these two parties, and in every major country it's the same thing, there's two parties that are just flip-flopping back and forth, and we're sold the idea that they're in this like life or death struggle for the culture and all these things. And the reality is, these people are just, I mean, they're sitting on the same level at the top of a boat that's sinking, and they're just taking turns at the wheel. And it would be too easy to say, look, Donald Trump, blah, 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 we're just going to get the Democrats in now. Or it's so much bigger than that. There's so much inherent corruption and power that's just a moral rot in our society. And I hope we can use this as a moment to say we are not going to get solutions from these people, right? Like, there is no knight on shining armor that's going to come down from the political class, that's going to have any kind of backing from the financial power you need to win an election, that's going to fundamentally change this rotten structure. And we have to not put politics aside, because there's important political questions that we need to be asking and discussing and debating moving forward on how we're going to find solutions. But we have to realize that these solutions have to come from working people. We have to find our own solutions, and we have to work together and at least debate each other and discuss these things like we're moving forward together. We'll have differences. There's going to be really big fights coming ahead politically, but they need to be seen as fights of ideas, and not thinking that we're going to line up behind some political party and they're going to sort it out for us, because it's just not the case. If we don't have more power as people, as citizens in our countries, we're in really bad shape. The side of it that I thought was the weirdest thing that came out of this, and I want to be careful about how to say that, because there's a lot of weird, deprived things that were in these files that are coming out, but one of the weirdest things I found was, I want to take the case of QAnon. And for people who don't aware, I mean, I think everybody knows at this point, QAnon was a pretty big political movement that was spawned online. And the whole focus of it was really about the fact that there's this cabal of rich and powerful, despicable people that are involved in all sorts of child abuse and horrors that are playing out right now, and that we've got to expose them. But the strange twist that came out of it, obviously, was that it was decided by the powers that be within QAnon that Donald Trump was the savior who was going to come and rescue us all from this evil cabal. And now it turns out that he's part of that evil cabal. But the weird detail that really sticks out in how all this came about is the political forum in 4chan, where all this stuff started, and where a lot of like the culture war stuff started, was created in 4chan by the owner of 4chan the day he had a meeting with Jeffrey Epstein. Like, that's not a insignificant detail, I don't think, coming out of this. And looking at how information has been weaponized against us, and how the internet and social media is being weaponized to control us, to maintain these, like, often it's based on bigotries or little divisions among our communities, and they put gas on it and they light a fire, and they're really good at directing us or misdirecting us so that we're fighting amongst our neighbors, fighting amongst ourselves, where they're laughing all the way to the bank. And again, like, this could be a moment of reckoning, because I'll be honest, I don't think much is going to come out of this. I hope I'm wrong. I hope over the next coming weeks and months, more documents come out and real justice is served and the victims are taken seriously and powerful people are toppled. But it's more than likely that really a few scapegoats are going to go down and nothing is going to change. And definitely nothing fundamental is going to change, because the people, the money, and the power behind all this stuff, and Jeffrey Epstein is just a part of a bigger puzzle, is not going to change. And so this could be a moment where a lot of us admit the problem is bigger than we thought it was. We made mistakes. We supported politicians that didn't deserve our support. And that's not just Republicans and Democrats, and I'm going to throw at liberals and conservatives all around the world, that these people are just the entertainment division of our misery. And it's a false sense of security that we have some control over the system by voting. And I think we have to, like, take a lot more seriously the time we invest in our communities and political movements that are based on working people finding working solutions together, and not culture war behind politicians who are so deeply tied into a system that is clearly so deeply corrupted that it cannot be trusted to find solutions for us. I'm going to go later, and I think another time, into the foreign policy implications of all this stuff, because there's some really important stuff about what Jeffrey Epstein did as a job and how it relates to our foreign policy and intelligence agencies. I think also, like, PSYOPs and the level of control that we're facing in unprecedented ways. I mean, these are important threads that I'd like to go into deeper, but I'm not going to spend a Joe Rogan-sized episode of talk about right now. But anyway, I mean, I think the key takeaway is that these people are in it together, with themselves, I should say, and we have to be in it together and find our solutions on a level that's going to work for us. So look into groups in your neighborhood, maybe. What are causes that you're driven by that involve you getting together with other people that you might know in your real life, and not putting faith in a political class and an economic class to fix things, because clearly they're not. And it's a big hole we got to dig out of, but I think it's not impossible. So anyway, hang in there, folks. Talk soon.